Too stressful. So,
Hello, Ali.
hi, Julia. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Morning. Did you get your coffee?
Morning, everyone.
Not yet.
Yeah, can you tell I had a little bit of coffee? Uh,
So it's a little bit.
and for
Not,
those of you who are joining us and watching this and haven't heard, Ollie and I are starting a newsletter business. We've already invested in some time in the brand. It's called CityClips. We are documenting our whole process. Crazy, right? I know.
no, it's not crazy. It's fun. Sorry, can I have the link for this so I can share it? I'll share it around. It's okay while we're talking. Sorry.
Yes, absolutely.
Hopefully, I
Let me
can
go ahead and just grab this.
hide this.
Um, wait, not this one. So, like, I will pull it up. Obviously, we're broadcasting to LinkedIn, YouTube. Do you want YouTube first?
Yeah, sure. YouTube only, I think.
Yeah. Okay, YouTube only.
I will
Awesome.
get going to YouTube.
Yeah, and in our first live of this series, Ollie talked a little bit about his experience. So if you didn't see that recording, definitely want to catch it. And we also have some pre-recordings about why we're doing this and how Ali experienced building this newsletter, or excuse me, another newsletter brand a couple years and grew it to 60,000 subscribers. So we are dabbling with investing in building something that's focused on the local market, and that's why hence CityClips. And we wanted to talk about why we chose that brand and also some of the things that I ran into while putting together the first newsletter draft. So that's what we're going to talk about. And then I had questions for him, and he was willing to answer questions live. So that's one of the reasons why we're going live. And I believe here is the link. I'm sharing it with you right now in the chat.
I have to tell you that I forgot all of the questions already, so you're gonna repeat them hopefully, right?
No problem.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Going.
And it was really cool. Like last time, I didn't expect it, but we had a bunch of people hop on. So, as questions come, we could try to save the questions for later or see if nobody has questions, totally fine. Um, okay. So, why, and we tossed around a few ideas between, different types of names, but we chose City Clips because, Ollie, you can speak for yourself, but for me, I felt like it was fitting because it's like cutting out news clips, but then it's kind of like a nice modern spin on it, and we wanted to focus on a city
Yes.
initially, so that's why, and to have a local feel, so that's why we decided to do City Clips, something
If we
for.
take it a step back, this is back to our discussion. Remember, we were talking about types of newsletters. Then you can be general, you can focus on a certain niche and whatnot. And then we talked about different niches. Niches can be an industry, like investment. It can be a sector, like I don't know. It can be like marketing. It can be a specialty, or it can be a geography, which makes sense. So for geographies, it's not that much done, but it feels natural because if you think about news in the older days, like a couple of decades ago, it was news. Basically, it was newspapers, and each newspaper would focus on the city it's in. Right? It makes more sense because you want to know about events, about who's who in that city, about topics related to that city. So it makes sense that you don't necessarily want to know. You want to know much more about your city than you want to know about elsewhere. Yes, you do want to know the national news, but maybe it's 20-80%. 20% national news, 80% what is happening around me and how can I make the most out of it. How can I be more informed and make better decisions, hence. So in the newsletter world, we're talking about something more global. The emails can reach anywhere, etc. So there was a bigger inclination for going global. Like you will look at examples like Morning Brew, The Hustle. It's relevant for everyone all over the US. But there's this missing link that, okay, when I learn about everything all over the US, I'm not necessarily learning about things that are intimate around me. Like, I don't know, think about events that are happening around me. They're not going to write in Morning Brew about events unless they're digital events, but they're not going to write about what is happening in Atlanta, what is happening in Jacksonville, in Tallahassee. If anything, they might write a bit here and there about New York, which actually disconnects me as a reader from Tallahassee and have nothing to do with what is happening with the traffic in New York. Like, I probably don't even want to know about this. So it makes sense for a business model to have newsletters that are related to cities, certain geographies, whether cities, communities within a geographic location that we pick. So this is where the idea is coming from. So CityClips as a name will be the general name, and then we can have like the more specific, Tallahassee Clips, Jacksonville Clips, maybe North Florida Clips. We can go forward with that. And like you said, like I like the origin of the name. So city is basically all the cities that we're going to be having the newsletters in, and clips is about clips of news. I like the name.
Yeah,
You
I
can.
think it's catchy. I mean, and also like people are getting it pretty quick. You know, they understand because it's a newsletter platform. So I'm getting a lot of good feedback about that. And
Nice.
what's exciting is that it's, you know, it's faster news. And when I was going through the process of researching content and things to talk about, I know we talked about like moving to Tallahassee, you know, being a resource, providing that. And it was just like, as you unpack that, there was so much you can dig and dive into the details. And so we had a great conversation about, you know, word count per article. And then also there's a difference between the word count with an actual newsletter. And you clarified that for me. So that was really helpful. I know with Jareed and the business that you grew, it wasn't necessarily just locally focused, right? Your market was pretty big. So I would say, and it was one of the first of its kind. So you were able to scale relatively quickly. So for us, in our case, when I was researching, I noticed that like even when I was just Googling anything related to Tallahassee, it wasn't like there was a lot going on, especially in the summer. So, you know, you really have to dig to find what's going on. You have to know where to look, right? So we want to provide that as a resource within CityClips. Like you go to CityClips, you find out everything that's going on in the Tallahassee area, even in the region, because a lot of local folks travel a lot, you know, within a couple hours or so of the city. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to share this, but I would love to go ahead and on Thursday, we will share visibly like how it looks and everything. Tomorrow, we'll start sending out emails and inviting people to subscribe. Like I'm going to publish this draft here that we have. I'm not going to share our little draft, but like,
I like how the live put you on the spot. Like you're on the spot. Like
I don't know. No, it's faster.
you
Julie,
should have
it's
done
faster
this
now.
a while ago.
Hey, I had a nice little break, you know, from the pitch event and, you know, in May, a lot going on there, but you know, and then I had a little nice vacation. You needed it obviously, and I needed it. So it's like I said, we're going to hit the ground running. And so you see the draft, right? And so we also discussed like, if, you know, if there's not enough news happening other than, you know, some of the regular typical stuff, like, oh, somebody saw, you know, there's a small car accident here. And that's the kind of stuff I hear in the news, like, oh, traffic kind of in near the you know, university and things like that. It's not like we get a lot of big news happening here other than the politics side, which we don't really want to dive into.
Don't worry about it. Let's relax. Trust me. Listen, it is true. It is a big challenge in newsletters. Writing initially, this is what people get stressed about in newsletters. Like, I don't have much to write about. And I've seen it in reality that actually this is what stops a lot of people after they launch it. Like they launch their newsletters, and sometimes it's about their opinions or their reviews of certain things. And then all of a sudden they feel depleted out of content. And then they might stop. And this scares a lot of people. And I think you're stressing and you're thinking about it too much. But let me tell you the truth. Let me tell you the truth. It's way simpler. It is really simple. Honestly, what you will find with time, and even if you go to the biggest newsletters, go and watch Morning Brew and look at the sources where they source the information. What you will find with time is that you will initially probably look at 20, 30 sources, but eventually you will start to filter out, and you will know that most of the good news, the timely news, the things that are relevant to your audience are within these seven sources, and these seven sources are updating quite regularly. And all of a sudden you have these go-to sources, and once you get that wheel running, and you start to get additional sources. So I mean, new information and writing about them. Then you get new information, writing about them. Once you relax into that rhythm, you will know that this is not a big issue. It is not something to stress about. It's very
Yeah.
stressful up front, but just trust me. Take a leap of faith. So it's gonna be all good. Uh, uh,
No, yeah. I mean, I had a lot of fun though. Like, and I still like dove into, just besides Google, obviously, there's other resources that rely on finding out like what's going on with food, and obviously Tallahassee Foodies is a great resource, and there's a reason why it keeps growing, as a Facebook group, as a community, and then like as you can see, like I think for, we had a discussion earlier too. Like I think for just like more interest, we also wanted to cover something that's trending nationally, regionally, and in addition to local. So that's why you see where in my draft I cover that, and we have
yes.
it broken down into three main sections, like the business side, life, personal care, healthcare, and entertainment. So yeah, go ahead.
Yes, no, I completely agree. Like, this is what you probably would want to know. I think the easiest way to talk about what is going to be written or what's going to be communicated in the newsletter is how would we define it as a personality? What kind of a personality? If that email was a person, what kind of person would it be? And like tone of voice, you guys do this in branding all the time. Like, what is his tone of voice? What I don't know, attitude, color scheme, and other stuff. But for, I would imagine our newsletter will be something like a colleague at work that you see and have fun with, talking over coffee every day. So basically, it's going to be something like, imagine if you're taking a break, a 5 minute break, going to the coffee machine, and you see that friend over there, and you start talking for like 5 minutes, 7 minutes. What are you going to talk about? You might talk about updates. Now, forget the personal life stuff, but what other stuff? Like, for example, you might say, did you see what Elon Musk said last night? Or did you see how Twitter launched, sorry, Facebook launched Threads, and
Right.
Elon Musk is suing them, and these two guys are probably going to fight. So
Yeah.
one thing is about picking these topics that are worth discussing.
Hmm.
But the other thing is, how do you want to communicate it? It's not going to be a dry story. It has to be an interesting story, because we're looking for acceptance as human beings and whatnot. We want it to be funny. We want to say something smart, funny, witty, and it has to be in a short time, because I don't have all day. My colleague doesn't have all day, and the manager can spot us at any point in time and thinks we're not working.
Right.
With this mindset, the news article that I would imagine, there are things that will take 2 to 3 minutes to read. They're fun to read. It almost flows like a story, and it's something worth talking about, worth hearing about for one reason or another. Once we have these three things, these I think can be the three key elements about each piece of news. You can apply this to something national, you can apply this to something regional, you can apply this to something local. I really wish if we can share the draft that you were talking about, but maybe we'll do this on Thursday. But for example, you talked about an event that is happening in a place close by, and it was very cool the way you mentioned it. It was very short, straight to the point. This is the event, this is where it's happening, this is when, and by the way, if you want to get tickets for it, go for here. It's not necessarily an ad, it's just, this is an interesting event that is happening near you in 3 days time. It's going to be fun, but it's your choice. And this is our job is probably, we will take a look, maybe on that day or on that weekend there's 10 events that are happening at the same time, some here, some within 1 hour drive here or there, and we will select probably two of them to let you know.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's valuable for me. So
absolutely.
yeah.
And I was thinking, even it's fine that we just talk about it now, and then, whoever catches this recording, because some of the upcoming things, for example, like you mentioned, the event. It's this Saturday. I happen to see it in my email because I'm a member of Tallahassee's Foodies member perks. And so not everyone gets the benefits unless you sign up. So plan on signing up. But it is an event that you can register for, even if you're not a member. It's the summer high tea featuring Ted Lasso biscuits. That's what caught my eye because I'm a huge fan of Ted Lasso. And so for those of you who don't know, it's like a TV show if you're into it. But I've always, I want to go. Because I was like, those biscuits look amazing. Every time I saw her eat it on the show, I was like, I want to try. So it was really exciting when I heard about it, and it's going to be at Charlie Park. If you, and I can just share the link. I believe it'll share it in the comments, but it's called, if you Google it, and I think they have it on Resi as a registration to get your tickets, and then you can claim a ticket for you and your significant other. Let's see if it actually will show. But yeah, it's a high tea prefix menu. And I believe, like it said, it didn't copy the link. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy the link. But
you can share the screen.
Oh, yeah. Okay, perfect. It's a long link. So I'm just going to put it in the comments here.
Okay.
But here is like, this is what, the description is. And then I put the links in the comments. It's a long link. I didn't make a bit.ly or anything. But yeah, I mean, ideally in our newsletter, we will share this frequently. Things like this that people might not normally find on their own, or
it requires a little effort to find. It requires a lot of effort in looking, or at least filtering and updating your social networks. And the whole point, the whole value proposition that we're saying, we're going to do that, and we're going to offer you hopefully good options. And with time, our options are going to improve because we're going to see how people interact with us. Like, we might put up 2 events, this one and another one, and we find that more people are clicking on the other one. I don't know, maybe the other one is a sports event and everyone's clicking on the sports event. And then we will start to understand, okay, our audience is more interested in sports, so maybe this is what we can do. Right. By the way, when we do this, we're not going to collect any personal information. It's not going to be like, even in Jareed, until today, we never collect, not even first name and last name. We don't do any of that.
Oh, nice.
All what we're interested in is just overall what is getting more traction than that, and then we start to go into that direction or that direction. Then all of a sudden you have a better performing newsletter in terms of clicks, in terms of open rate, etc. So I think this is applicable to anyone who's starting a newsletter, like whatever, even if you're going for, I don't know, for a specific niche, like, I don't know, something about beauty products, you can still do the same thing. You can mention different products, and according to how people react, then you improve it, etc. I think we talked a lot about content. Did you have other questions? I think you mentioned that you wanted to ask about other questions related to functionality, etc.
Yeah, and then, I mean, speaking of entertainment, there's a couple local things happening, like related to the tech world. If you're into that, Tech Topics Innovation Park is hosting an event July 19th. So register for those who haven't signed up.
What is the talk about?
Yeah, so Ed Mansouri, he's a serial entrepreneur, a local successful entrepreneur, CEO of WeatherStem. He's going to talk about his journey, and then I think he'll focus on some of the different products he built and then eventually sold. So, but he's known for the apparatus, like kind of like a device that a lot of universities and businesses use to track weather. I believe it can detect everything related to thunderstorms and also hurricanes, those kinds of things. So it's been really successful, and he's still growing, and he's still getting more universities to sign on for those kinds of things. And so anyways, he talks about his journey in the tech space. So definitely try to sign up. It's a free event, and lunch is on them. So you might as well just try to go. It's going to be at the Mag Lab, world famous Mag Lab. So if you haven't been there, might as well use the opportunity to also check out the Mag Lab.
Interesting. What's really tricky about entrepreneurship, a lot of people don't necessarily notice, is that it's way different from when you're dealing with B2C than compared to B2B. With B2C, sometimes it's easier. You can just advertise. You can go on Google, like whatever mass media that can attract that. But when you go into B2B or B2G. Like in his case, he's going to university specifically. It can be trickier to sell your services, and it's going to be like the learnings that someone got from that kind of journey is very interesting. It's really
Yeah.
worthwhile, and it's not that much available out there. So
Right.
yeah,
No, yeah.
really interesting.
And he's a great person to meet. I've met him a few times, and that's what I love about the Tallahassee community. It's still small enough where you can actually meet CEOs of successful businesses, and very friendly, very humble people. So it's just really awesome and unique opportunity to network with these kinds of founders.
Nice. Perfect.
And then also, because I know I mentioned, like, there's a free live concert series for those of you who haven't heard yet. Because it's funny, don't you run into that, Ali? Like, where you hear about something and nobody else heard about it? I don't know.
All the time, and that's why we're starting CityClips.
Yeah. So, like, the free live summer concert series. I don't know if you heard, Ali, because I know sometimes you haven't heard of things.
Yes.
You didn't know about it? The downtown.
No, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm telling you. That's why I love this. So it's free, and it's
okay. Sorry. Well, let's pause for 1 second. Did you see the value of research? How did you find out about all of these things? Was it because of research related to CityClips, right? Or was it elsewhere?
Yeah, no, good question. So half the stuff that I hear about is through social media and the things that I follow.
Okay.
And it's sometimes not even through people that talk to me, because rarely do I have every time to socialize. But most of the time, I'll run into things that nobody has heard about. So I tend to find these things.
Okay, perfect. And now you're going to be able to share them with thousands.
Yes, and I dig, so I know where to look, and then I'll find out. So yeah, throughout the whole summer, if you haven't heard, there's a free live concert series, and Downtown is hosting it, and Cascades Park has been running it. So the next one is in July 22nd. I never heard of the band, but hey, it's a unique opportunity to have a little picnic with a family, and it's a nice atmosphere. Cascades Park is one of my favorite places to go to with the kids, and it's just a really pleasant and fun environment. So, Ali, if you like live concert, and it's free, parking is pretty decent.
Yeah, very good over there.
Okay, so yeah, that's some of the things that we will share and we'll look for. So, like, if there's anything that you think is interesting that nobody really knows about and you like to get the word out, please let us know. As far as my questions for Ali, as far as sourcing content, like, what if the link leads to a paywall? Like, is that okay?
That's okay. That's
Okay,
we
so even
always do that. For us, we always did that. Like, it's not. There's different ways of dealing with paywalls, including paying and including other ways. But the point is, when we put the sources, it's actually we're linking you to this is where we got the information from. Okay. Now it's your choice whether, first of all, whether you want to click it or not, whether you really want to know more information or not. You have to go through the paywall. But at the very least, I'm providing the source from where am I talking. Like I gave you that piece of information. At the very least of decency, I have to tell you that this is where I sourced it from. It's better for the source itself, and it's better for the reader to know where we're getting our information from. Whether it's a paying, whether there's a paywall or not, I think is irrelevant for us as a newsletter.
Yeah. So would you say too, like, when you're researching and then you happen to see that it ranks in the top 20, that's a good sign for a source, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Because I know you mentioned you have
we're subreddits.
Okay.
It's really, you will be surprised.
Okay.
It's not we learned this through time, through years of doing this. But basically, we started to find out that people, for example, are really interested in travels. I remember during COVID, we had these links that we got from Reddit about take a digital vacation, where it gives you different locations. Like, you can pick all of these cities around the world. You can pick Rome, Jakarta, anywhere, and all of a sudden it takes you over there into a live while you're actually driving a car and listening to local radio. You have no idea. This is probably one of our most clicked links ever.
Oh.
Like, you would be amazed. It was, first of all, it was really good quality videos, and it was such a nice experience just to be there, driving, going through the scenery, through nature, and listening to local radio with the local language. It was so relaxing. It was so silly, and people loved it. It's
That's
not
cool.
any public media. It wasn't something like we grabbed from CNBC or CNN or anywhere. It was just somewhere in Reddit, and it was a website that was done by someone, by a fan who did it. And these things sometimes they blow up. They're genuine. I don't know if like these kind of genuine links and genuine kind of information. You have no idea how much people love them. We found another series of videos by a family in India that cooks. It's in a village. They don't speak English, like the whole thing. However, they're taking videos with a 4K camera, and they make these incredibly big meals, and they cook it. Like the cooking video is amazing, but also they start to distribute it to all the kids and all the poor people around the village.
Oh, cool.
It was so heartwarming. And again, that link blew up. Everyone was clicking on it. Everyone was sending us positive comments. How did you find this? Like, and again, these were from subreddits, or so you would be amazed. But you will learn this with time. You will not get it from the first, and it cannot be in every article, in every newsletter issue that you do. But with time, you will find these kind of gems all over the internet, and there's lots of them, and they're fun to find.
That's fun. I mean, okay, give me advice on, because I'm like one of those investigators. It's just naturally I tend to dig and dig and dig into the details even further. Like, how do you gauge like your time and without getting into a rabbit hole and just completely go off, relevance?
The beauty is that we have sending times, right? So we do have a deadline. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you will find that what is this becoming blurry? Anyway, so you will find that the deadline is coming up soon, and all of a sudden, oh, we will have to send out this.
Yeah.
These rabbit holes can be so much fun, but at the same time,
I
having
know.
deadlines,
I know you probably go down the rabbit hole. Like, how did you do?
all the time.
I mean, finding a family that cooks in India like that, I'm like, I don't have time for that, but I would love to watch stuff like that.
As long as you're stuck to sending times, and you actually, there's an audience of thousands that will actually email you and ask you, why didn't I get my newsletter today? Is there something wrong? You will find yourself that, okay, eventually you will say, okay, whatever, that's what I have, this is what is going to be sent.
Yeah.
Get to it. That's it. It's gonna be okay.
That's a great audience base. Cool. I mean, if you feel good about, what we covered, then we can end it for today and then we'll share on Thursday. Because I figured Tuesdays and Thursdays, for those of you who are interested in following our journey or just even catching recordings, but typically that's when you can catch us live. And I like Tuesdays being kind of almost along the theme of Tip Tuesdays, and then Thursdays kind of similar along the lines of tips, but I was thinking of focusing on Tallahassee, so making it Tallahassee Thursdays. So it's very relevant for what we're doing.
I have a
Yeah.
before we wrap up. What's happening with the logo?
You're putting me on the spot live. We looked at concepts, and I have something in mind, and I want to show you first before like we start sharing with people, unless you want me to like start trying. But yeah, I'd rather just show you offline, and then we'll share it Thursday if that's cool with you.
This is not. We're gonna share it with the people. We'll do it on Thursday. I don't, whether I see it offline or not. Let's be ready to share it with everyone Thursday.
Yes.
How about this?
Yes.
Fair enough?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This live is for you, Ollie. I could tell this is more.
To make the most out of every opportunity in life, Jimmy.
Can't wait to do this highlight reel for the entire documentation of how this works. Our goal is to get 1,000 subscribers by the fall, right?
It took us 6 months to get to 1,000 subscribers in Jiri. We don't. Hopefully, we're going to be much faster than this. So,
okay.
Yeah, once we launch, I think we can give it. I would like to aim for 3 months, and let's see how we do.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Anyone who wants to join our team and help us, happy to do so. And we are looking for potential sponsors, so reach out to us.
but it's going to be a fun journey, honestly.
It is.
I say, we had a lot of writers, by the way, who joined us, and actually they even uh, didn't have to get paid because they were well paid in their jobs, and they just wanted to do it to keep up with their writing, to keep
Yeah.
up with sources and research. Because otherwise, if you don't have motivation, this is what we had at school, at university, that you lose sometimes when you go to work. When you go to work, it's just operations, and you feel there's stagnation when it comes to the information that you're learning, etc. And the whole reason for them why they wanted to join Jareed is just because they wanted a motivation to keep them up to date with news, a motivation to keep them up to date with writing, like that kind of pressure. And it was, they enjoyed it. You're more than welcome. I think we can definitely have a couple of spots for people if they want to do this. If
And as
there's,
you can see, Ali and I are already having a lot of fun doing this. So
there's
come
going to,
join the fun.
yep, nice.
All right. I'll see you on the other side, Ali. Hold on for a few seconds. Signing off.